Um, I forgot to mention, I also managed to finish two of my court cases, and they went in my favor. So that was nice. In a way, it doesn't feel nice because I don't think it's not going to change anything. You know what I mean? Like, so one thing that got finished was my divorce. So, and I just don't believe in celebrating divorces. I think divorces are terribly depressing and sad and unfortunate, and really more than unfortunate, especially if kids are involved. It's like I understand that they're necessary in certain circumstances, but the fact that I don't know, it's just not something I really think is to be cheered on. But it is nice to have on paper like the reasonings for the divorce and to have it like signed off on and everything. So if ever like and it meant a lot to me because one is my truth, it was my experience. Well, it's not just my truth, it was the truth, um objective truth. And just to have it there on paper, like, okay, this person, the marriage didn't work out because this person was abusive. And also, I'm very appreciative of all the stress my body endured during that time because I had to go through and make sure that because of his behavior, he could not have direct access to our daughter. So pretty much not only do I have sole custody, but the like visitation schedule and stuff honestly can't be into true effect without him completing the anger and alcohol class or at least attending it for like 6 months. Um, so yeah, like I appreciate the fact that I'm just appreciative that that is all like taken care of, for like my daughter's well being, because at the end of the day, he threatened to put her in foster care. Not that he could have, he was just saying that he would, you know, or just he just did so many things. He didn't care like how or what happened to me, which is one thing, but he also didn't care how or what happened to our daughter. So just knowing that there's stuff in place where you can't do any shenanigan anymore, everything will be on my terms, and I fear God enough to not abuse the position. Um, it helps me feel better. I guess you could say it helps me feel better. It doesn't make up for like everything that he put us through or just him like leaving her for like 2 years. Like is which is crazy because at this point my daughter's her godfather has been in her life longer than her actual father, who only lived 2.5 miles away. So I don't even really know what to say about that. I really don't. Like, I don't have words for that. Um, but essentially, I'm glad that got done. And as far as my other court case, that one was for my son's dad. Now that my son's older, he's in middle school, I have reached out to him just because it's like, hey, either you're going to be in his life or you're not going to be in his life, because now that I can tell puberty's like kicking in. He's a preteen, there's the signs, there's the smells, there's all these things that come with it. And it's like, so are you trying to be around or not? It did not go well whatsoever. And instead of just showing up to court on the and him being aware that we had court, he just decided to leave the state and flee to Texas, where I guess he has family. I know he has some family, but He just decided he was just gonna, you know, and it's kind of hurtful because they'll say all these threatening things to you, like, oh, you're this and you're that. But at the same time, it's like, but when you can have your day in court and you can show all the evidence that you say you have, why don't you show up to court? Why do you just leave and go to another state and leave your kid behind? Because now our son only has a few years left of youth. You know, he's past the halfway point, you know? He's past that halfway point of being a quote unquote adult. And he's almost halfway finished, I think, yeah, over, like, almost over the halfway point with schooling. It just depends if he does like college and trades and stuff like that. But it's just like, but it worked out because I did all the work, I paid all the money, I did everything I had to do. It was a long process. It literally took um I think I started it in April. I started in April with an abandonment charge, and then they give them like 2 months. Then in June, he decided to not show up. He said he would be there that week. He chose not to, which would have been better because it's just like a mediation thing, at least where I live. You file for abandonment, they can show up. It'd be a mediation. You could just handle it that way. But he didn't show up. So when I followed up with him, like a week later, he was like, when he didn't show up for court, he's like, oh, well, he's in Texas, but he's not going to tell me his address, um, or where he's living. And, you know, I asked multiple times because I made sure he knew, like, I was moving forward with other court processes and didn't care. So then I filed for contempt because he's not paying child support and he owes 5 digits worth of money, and now you just run off. So, and that started in June, and it literally took till like October, because, but to be fair, it took, I think it took really until like, I want to say September, I think, no, or August or September. So June, July. I think it took until August the first time, but I didn't do the publication right. So I had to do the publication, which cost like a decent amount of money and whatnot, and then wait another 2 months, and then that lands you in October. So it took all of that. But at this point, now he has like a warrant for the abandonment, and if he doesn't pay a purge amount for child support, then he's supposed to go to jail in a month. So, and it's crazy because, like I said, it's like good news because something is in place to say, hey, this isn't right, you know, but it's not something to be celebrated. Like, at the end of the day, like, I doubt I'm gonna see that money, you know, and he's already left the state, so, you know, and that's if he wasn't lying. So there's that, you know. Is he, it's just, I don't know. It's it's just one of those things where you do the due diligence and you follow through with the procedures because you want to do what's in the best interest of your kids. And you also don't just want someone to feel like they can just, you know, kind of disappear and come back and lay claim to your kid, because you don't even know this person anymore after a while, you know, like, you don't know what their life experiences have been and what trouble they may bring around a child. And if you're not that invested in your child, who's to say that you will keep an eye out for whoever might be around your kid, you know, because you don't care. You don't care enough to show up to court. You don't care enough to show up in real life. You don't care enough to put your money towards that. You're not invested in the child. So it makes a person look at you questionable about whether or not the child would be in good care with you because you're not invested. so you could care less. So there's still some things that I have to do, like a few loose ends on my part, just to take care of the legal stuff. It is terribly slow. Whatever you do is probably going to be another 2 months before you even have your date in court. But you know, at the end of the day, you got to do what you have to give the kids the best futures, you know, and that's really all I want. I mean, genuinely, what I would like is for the men to be wanting to be like fathers, like real ones, and willing to pay the money or pay the time. You know, that's how the amount got so high in the first place, was because I was like, well, if you can at least give him your time. But then it's like you don't want to give time and you don't want to give money. Because I don't think money is more valuable than the memory of having like your parent around. And I don't know, there's this weird instinctive thing that most people have with wanting to know where they come from and wanting to know that they belong. And you know, it's crazy to walk around and you can have 20, 30, 40, 50 relatives and you've only met your mom. Is or your grandma, you know, like, or you're just one side of your family. I think that's atrocious. It's a whole herd of people, for lack of better words, that you should be meeting and aware of, and you're not, simply because someone decided you weren't worth the sacrifice. Is terrible. So anyway, long story short, the court stuff got done. It was in my favor. The kids are gonna be, there's like a layer of protection now, um, between me and the children and all that. And I don't know. I don't know what else more to say about that. It's not anything that I'm particularly happy about. I'm just happy in the sense of, I'm not even gonna say happy, I'm just relieved because something there states the truth. Something there legally states that this is wrong, and it's not, or something happened that was wrong, and it just adds like a certain layer of protection for me and the kids. So I guess that's it.